Aboru Aboye, Aboshishi. Welcome to the traditional Herbal Health Program. I am one of your hosts, Ingrid McGregor, located in St. Martin in the Caribbean. My co-host this evening is Baba Ifat Bimiro, who is about to read the Essay Ifa.
Aboro Aboye Abosheshe. My name is Ifa Bemero Fehimalibe, and I am the co-host of tonight's show. And I would now read the essay Ifa from Oyeku Owori. Oyeku Biri divined for the pigeon. It was predicted that the pigeon would be fruitful. Therefore, she should sacrifice 200 beans and 2,000 koris. She heard and performed sacrifice. The pigeon became fruitful. Ifa divination was performed for the dove. She was asked to sacrifice. The dove performed the sacrifice, and she became faithful. All right, and that is the end of the essay Ifa from Oyeku Owori. And I would now hand back over to the host
All
of the
right,
program.
guys. Okay, it's a pleasure to be here with you again this evening. And this evening, we would like to speak about liver health. We
Liver
would
health.
like to
Or liver.
liver.
All right, okay.
What do we do to keep our liver healthy? So the type of herbs that we can use, the type of liver problems,
Okay.
and what we can do in terms of self-help tips at home to make things better and to be healthier.
Okay. Well, should I
Okay, so
start off by asking you to tell us firstly what is the liver and what is the function of the liver, or you're gonna get into that at some point?
well, the liver is a powerful organ. It is the sponge of the body. So technically, absolutely everything that we eat and drink is filtered through the liver. So it is technically impossible to be healthy without a functioning liver.
Okay.
It turns the nutrient that we eat into chemicals that the body needs. It will filter all the poison and it helps us to transform the food into energy. So whenever it does not work well, the entire body is affected. This is something that you would notice, especially on teenagers, for example, when they are in this period of transition, you would notice that their face break out a lot of acne, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe women in transition, whether they are entering their cycle or different part of the cycle, shall we say, their face break out. Why? Because the liver is pressured and the liver has to filter a whole lot more toxin than usual. So therefore, whenever it need a cleanse, you would notice a change in the color of your eyes, or you would experience different rashes on your body.
Okay.
All right, but by that time, you know that it's not functioning well.
Okay. All right. So does the liver secrete any particular chemicals or hormones into the bloodstream?
As I like to explain it to younger audience, the liver is like a sponge. When you clean the table, if you do not rinse your sponge and you return to use it a second time to clean a kitchen counter, for example, what will you find on the kitchen counter?
The residue of whatever you had cleaned using the sponge before.
Exactly. So therefore, this is what you're going to spread on the counter. So this is actually what happens. And this is we with the liver whenever we do not drink enough water, for example, or
Mm-hmm.
whether we are not using the right food, vegetable, herbs, or spice to keep it stimulated and clean. Um, or whatever residue actually goes back to the bloodstream and can create different conditions.
All right. Well, you know what? I am sure you have a full presentation prepared, and I don't want to start interrupting you by asking the question. So, what I would do now is I would be quiet for a bit, and I would let you present the whole package that you have on the liver and and everything, and then I would reserve my questions till you finish. So let me not be so intrusive and interruptive during your presentation. Let me be a good co-host tonight.
Sure. All right. So before anything, I would like to speak about the things that we find at home around us that we can use actually to make things better. You would notice that if you feel tired, if you're not sleeping well, if you're lacking energy, just drinking the right cup of tea is going to just make things easier for you because you will actually rinse out the liver. Okay, so the first thing we're talking about is actually tea. Green tea is very efficient in terms of cleaning the liver, but actually drinking any type of warm tea, especially early in the morning, is going to be beneficial for that flush. So if you realize that you are experiencing different rashes or discoloration of your eyes, you may want to at least drink that cup of tea every morning for about 12 weeks.
Okay. It's
Mostly contains
12 weeks.
about,
Could I ask a
I mean,
question? I mean, I don't
sure.
really want to interrupt your flow, right? But is 12 weeks like a recommended period for the administration of teas for any of the major internal organs?
No, it's not. It's really like I'm really not okay with the administration of this. Um, 3 months is a cycle. It's a
Okay.
trimester, so therefore it's like your the organ goes through a complete regeneration, a complete transformation. So anything you would have before is just like a temporary healing. It's like you give it a quick sweep, but then you go back to normal. If you give your body those 12 weeks, it regenerates completely.
Okay.
Okay, another one that we find around the home are citrus fruits, especially grapefruit. The grapefruit contains a lot of antioxidant, and those naturally protect the liver. So the two main antioxidant that you will find in grapefruits are naringenin and naringin.
Okay.
So there are several studies that prove actually that those are going to protect the liver. As a matter of fact, people usually who are trying to lose weight tend to drink that lime juice in the morning with warm water. And that's exactly what they're doing. Add those antioxidants into a cup of water and get that flush going.
Okay.
Usually, berries, cranberries, blueberries are actually very good because they're full of antioxidant. And consuming those fruits for 3 to 4 weeks, really give the liver that boost. It had to increase the immune cell response and also the level of enzyme in the liver. However, I like to speak about our own local fruits.
Okay.
And the noni fruit is actually a berry as well, a noni berry. So usually people do not like to eat noni fruits because it's very pungent. It has a strong scent. It's full of seeds. So we have all the reason why we don't really like to have that fruit. But this one is actually very powerful. So usually giving yourself that boost of noni juice, even for 3 weeks, you will notice like a great change of energy. Skin will be a whole lot lighter. Okay, because it is so full of antioxidants. So noni berry is something that you could have. And whenever I encourage people to drink noni juice, everybody watch me as if I come from another planet. And I'm reminded that it's not something so pleasant to drink. So there are many ways of using noni fruit. The old folks would just put them, store them in a glass jar for a couple of days, couple of weeks, and just drink, a few tablespoon of the extract. Okay, that's good. It's very good. But you can also blend it. and strain the seeds out of it, and then you end up with a puree. I'm not sure whether you guys use the same word as I do, but that's it's like applesauce, so noni sauce. Let's call it noni sauce, and I keep my French word to myself. And
Okay.
so once you have this noni sauce, you can blend it with any other juice, which make it more palatable. So some people will use cranberry, some will use grape juice, whichever juice you feel comfortable drinking. Apple
Okay.
juice is great as well. And this is an excellent flush, and people who want to lose weight will enjoy that drink.
Okay.
Grapes, especially the red and blue grapes, they contain a variety of compounds. Okay. And there are many studies on animals that show that grape juice actually benefit the liver.
All right.
Okay. All of this is to prevent inflammation, prevent damage, increase the antioxidant level. Yeah. In Creole, we call it ratchet. How do you
Okay.
guys call it, Baba?
We call it ratchet also. I think in Central America, the Spanish people call it nopal.
Nopal, indeed.
Yes.
So the fruits and the juice are very good also to clean the liver. All right. So if you cut it in pieces and you have it soaking in water, the water is going to become very thick. So that's like how should I explain that? When you drink that, it just pulls absolutely everything out of the liver. Okay. You can also eat the fruits. Sometimes some pink fruits or yellow fruits grow from that particular plant, and those are also very good. There's not so much nausea in drinking this compared to noni, for example. It stimulates the appetite, okay, and it's good for people who are experiencing severe hangovers.
Okay.
One of my favorite is beetroot juice, not necessarily eating the beets, but actually to juice the beets. Okay, if
Beet
you
juice.
consume enough, yes, beet juice,
Okay.
uh, concentrated homemade beet juice.
Okay.
It is a source of nitrate and antioxidant, and whenever you drink sufficient beet juice, you know that you've had enough when your secretion are as dark as the beet juice. So you realize when you go to the bathroom that everything comes out of the same color as the beets, then you know you get a proper flush.
Okay.
It is very stimulating. So usually people who decide to drink beet juice 2, 3 cups throughout the day, I advise them to stay home because they'll be visiting the bathroom pretty often throughout that day. But the beet juice, it protects the liver from oxidative damage, from inflammation, and it also increases the natural detoxification of enzymes.
Okay.
Cruciferous vegetables, things like Brussels sprouts, broccoli, the mustard greens, cabbage, they have a special taste. The radish as well as the daikon radish. Okay, all of those are great to increase the level of that detoxification and protect the liver from damage.
Okay.
Use nuts as well, okay, but butternut because it's high in fat, but good fat, nutrients, a lot of antioxidant and vitamin E. The only thing when we use nuts is that we can't use as much, we have to use those sparingly. But it is better to have nuts than to have crackers, for example.
All right.
Consuming omega-3 and omega-6, omega-369 in a supplement, so the good old cod liver oil is very important to keep everything in check in the right ratio. The bottom line is that the liver is a very important organ with many essential functions. Okay, and therefore it makes sense to do whatever we can to protect it. and to use once now and then to at least like use the right food
Okay.
to lower the risk of liver disease, to raise the antioxidant intake, and enzyme so that we could be protected from harmful toxins. So if we incorporate just those foods in the natural diet, in things that we eat regularly, then this is just a very easy step to keep it functioning at its best.
Okay.
You have any questions? You've gone suddenly very quiet.
No, no, no. Well, what I'm allowing you to do is to make your full presentation. And then after you do, then we're going to get into some questions. Because, again, the show is really for viewers to get a clear understanding of issues of herbal health. And I think the topic that was chosen tonight on the liver is a very, very, very relevant and pertinent topic. Um, I mean, now we could have a discussion, as myself as a herbalist and you also as a naturopathic doctor. Generally, my observation over the years of practice is that most times that the liver is not functioning optimally, there are particular signs that a person would normally see. And one of the areas that the liver directly affects is the skin. So one of the
Yes.
first signs that something is off with your liver or that your liver is sluggish is that you have all sorts of breakouts on your skin. Psoriasis is a condition that is also directly related to the liver. Um, my understanding is that the liver's job is to break down fats and other things into uric acid. And when this does not happen, or when it's not happening in the way that it should, there end up being a buildup of this waste in your system and is not able to be expelled, particularly if it's not broken down properly due to the malfunctioning of the liver. This is now my theoretical understanding and how I relate it to particular conditions. Um, I think you did a fantastic job in explaining, all of the different things that would stimulate the liver and that would cause the liver to uh, come out of functioning in a sluggish sort of a way. Um, Bile, right, is also another important thing in that whole element of the elimination of waste also. Now, there's a very interesting theory as far as the vital organs are concerned. Doc, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but normally, when one of the major organs are not functioning optimally, sometimes the other organs tend to try to take on some of the responsibilities as best as they could for the organ that is malfunctioning. I don't know if you're familiar with that theory or if you've ever heard of such.
Definitely, the body is a combination of systems or different health system, different organs. When one is overworked or when is one is not functioning properly, then try to counterbalance. Actually, they overwork to try to keep the balance of the body. So therefore, if you are experiencing symptoms and you are not too sure what to do about it, if you do not see an herbalist, a naturopath, or a doctor, then in the long run, you might experience even more complication.
Definitely. So, I mean, lemon, in particular the rough skin lemon, I believe is one of nature's most powerful fruit that we could actually use. and it is one of the fruit that actually stimulates the liver. Um, as I mentioned, bile just now, a sluggish liver would not be able to produce the amount of bile that is needed. And bile, basically, by the way, beside it being this yellow substance or whatever it is in terms of color and description,
Yellow or
but
green?
well, to me, it it causes your waist to be green, right? But it actually is like a shade of yellow, as far as I know. I mean, no, I ain't famous to be known for having everything correct. So maybe it, if you could guide me with
Mhm.
with that particular information.
Depend. The color of the fluid is going to be different according to our state of health.
Okay. All right. Because I also know that jaundice, what we call jaundice, is where you have hyper secretion of the same bile, and that causes people to actually turn yellow. So, I mean, this is just how I understand it, because I look for certain symptoms that are related to certain conditions, right? So we know when you have the overproduction of bile, which is what we call jaundice, by the way. Whenever you hear they say a person has jaundice, and all the fingernails yellow, and all the eyes, when you watch inside of the eyes yellow, right, and all of that, that's because of the overproduction of bile. So that is one of the symptoms that I associate to a malfunctioning liver, right? To me, most forms of skin eruptions, right, are also somehow tied in to the functioning of the liver. Now, mind you, the cause of the malfunction in lots of instances can be our diet. All right. When we absolutely not eating what we're supposed to be eating, and we eating all the processed foods and all that stuff. Um, in the past, there used to be a product by the name of Andrew's liver salt. I'm not advertising anybody's product. I'm not endorsing anybody's product. But there was this product that was called Andrew's liver salts. Today is no longer called liver salts, right? It's called an Andrew's antacid or something like that. They call it nowadays, right? But back in the old days, when persons drink a lot of alcohol or imbibe a lot of alcohol, it tends to affect the liver's function. So what used to happen is, when you drink and you have the hangover and you're really feeling lousy and your liver probably, on its last breath, you just drink a Andrew's liver salt and it just totally revives the liver, you know? So that's how it used to be. But now they hardly promote it as a liver salt. Um, there were a couple of other salts on the market, fruit salts, that had a similar effect in having a person recuperate from a hangover because of its effect on the liver. Um, Today, right, stepping forward now, we have things like, I think you mentioned it earlier, the omega 3s,
Yes.
right? Right. That also too plays a very important role. The source, one of the common sources used in the Caribbean and have been used for a very long time, is cod liver oil.
Yes.
Right. So this oil actually comes from the liver of a fish. Or in some
Indeed.
cases, you may hear people talk about whale oil or shark oil.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Snake oil is something slightly different. So we ain't going to talk about snake oil. But we will talk a little bit about shark oil and whale oil, they being a very, very rich source of omega 3s. There are many, 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 many health conditions that are made very acute because of a deficiency of these same B3 vitamins.
Omega
Um,
3.
well, omega 3, yes. Sorry. Omega 3, that's correct. Thanks for that correction there. Yeah, but the omega 3s, they help the brain and the nervous system to function more effectively. You want to give us a little rundown on that, Doc, please? Because I think we have some other omega also, but some of them is not really like the most desirable ones. But generally, they refer to the omega 3 as the one that, would help the nervous system, would help the contraction, would help the signal that travels from the brains throughout the entire nervous system.
Omega 3 and the omega 6, they are good sources of unsaturated fat. Okay, so I'm not hearing the noise in my background. I like to introduce myself as a mother of twins, so I'm in a busy household.
All right, okay. Well, I
Okay,
mean,
so
we can understand that.
all right, there is a delay. Okay, so back in the days, we used to hear a lot about omega-3 fats.
Yes.
And then later on, we started to hear about omega-3, omega-6, and sometimes also omega-9. So omega-3, 6, 9. Okay. Technically, those are the healthy fats. So we don't necessarily need to buy everything in a supplement. I mean, we live in a society where we like it, like the popcorn society, where we like to just have something quick, just pop a pill and without thinking about it. All right. But if you consume healthy fats like avocado, nuts, fish, you don't need to take a supplement to get those. All
Okay.
right, so the species we're talking about is things like salmon, mackerel, anchovies, sardines, trout. Okay, so those are very good sources of omega-3 and omega-6 fats.
Okay.
Flax seeds are great as well. Some people rather use the flaxseed oil, walnuts, soybeans, tofu. Okay, so it is also available in transformed food, so food that are fortified like margarines, juice, and yogurts. Okay, but we try to stay away from the processed food as much as possible. Okay, and omega-6 now you're gonna find them especially in meat, poultry, fish, eggs, and also in nuts and seeds. So although it is healthy fat, then we should try our best not to overindulge in those because we only need that little.
But to me, though, Doc, generally, when you hear comments made about omega 6, they generally refer to it as not the desirable one because they talk about how it affects your blood pressure and it promotes blood clotting and heart attack and strokes and blah, 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 blah. So
It has
I don't know
it has
why, but generally it's not really promoted as the best form of fatty acid.
it, it's like it contains a lot of carbon, so it can be good for the heart because we all need oil in the body to keep our joint healthy and to keep our cells also lubricated. Okay, but
Okay.
everything has to be consumed in balance. So for example, avocado is something that's very healthy, but it is also very rich. So we can't indulge and have avocado every day, for example. All right, because even if it's a healthy fat, at the end of the day, it remains fat.
Okay. All right. And then in terms of the omega 3, you find like it's almost as if the omega 3 has like the opposite effect on the system because the omega
Oh,
3 lowers the blood pressure, it reduces the triglycerides, it slows down the development of plaque in the arteries, right? It also reduces the chance for having like abnormal heart rhythms. It reduces the likelihood of stroke and heart attack, etc., etc. So, in terms of the two, the three and the six, uh, based on what science is saying, are they saying that you know using the three would be great of a greater benefit than using the six, or is it that, as you just said, just everything in moderation, just don't overuse anyone?
Everything should be in moderation. The omega 6, they are used especially to manage the to reduce the risk of heart disease and to also help to lower the bad cholesterol. So it's
Okay,
like they you feel like, if you have a lot of fat and especially stubborn fat overall on your body, you need to have a type of good fat to help fluidify it and start to get rid of it. But everything is in balance. Okay, so using a little bit of omega 6 help to raise the good cholesterol and to reduce other risk. Okay, but you'd find, for example, that I don't want to call out any nation in particular, but let's say that people who are very much um, living by the Western diet with a lot of fast food, they tend to eat a whole lot more omega 6 fats than omega
okay,
3. So this will cause people to gain a lot of weight and to be in imbalance. So it's better to lean more on the omega 3 that are a whole lot lighter,
okay.
okay?
But
And to keep
Doc,
ones that
if I could
less
interrupt
reliable.
you, the
Go ahead.
audience might be wanting to understand why we going off on omega 3 and omega 6. When is the liver we talking about? But then we also have to understand one of the functions of the liver also is it works in the breaking down of fat.
Definitely.
All right, so therefore there is a relationship with the function of the liver, the B3. Sorry, I keep saying B, so forgive me. And the omega 3 and the omega 6, right? Because, of course, if you use more of the 6, then guess what? You're going to be putting a lot more work on the liver because the liver has to break this fat down to avoid the accumulation of fat in your system. And even in the liver itself, too, because to some degree, the liver stores a certain amount of this. But again, when the liver becomes sluggish, it tends to cause people to accumulate more fat, which could cause obesity, diabetes, as well as you could have a high level of triglycerides in the blood, which is not particularly desirable. So, yes, there is a relationship with our discussion on the omega 3s, omega
Mhm.
6, and the relationship to the liver. All right. So, then I want to introduce not a new subject, we're still talking about the liver, but I want to introduce something that the Chinese, the Daoists, spelled Tao but pronounced Dio, they do something called skin brushing. And they
The Indian.
claim, right, they claim that this skin brushing exercise invigorates the functions of the liver. I mean, and the kidneys too. But I'm yet to really understand how that works. But in accompanying that aspect of it, just brushing the skin, they also recommend that you use a warm cup of lemon juice mixed with water, of course, diluted with water. So I think they know that a great part of the effect for that process is also using the lemon. So I think the lemon have to be credited for being one of the most effective sources of stimulation for the liver because it's recognized even in the Dio's culture. beside ours too. Because we know when you use some of that rough skin lemon and you mix it with water and whatever, you could lose weight. But a lot of people don't know how it happens. What causes that to take place? But what actually causes it to take place is because it stimulates liver function. So don't underestimate the importance of lemon water if you're trying one of your little, dietary experiments and trying to put off a couple of pounds.
Okay. I'd like to come back on the skin brushing. Okay,
Okay.
the skin brushing is actually in terms of reflexology, it's like the body is made of different sensors. So therefore, you could have a headache, and according to the different sensors in your hand or in your ear or in your feet at the sole of your feet, then if you press the right sensors, then you access the entire line of organ going all the way up to your head, your eyes, whatsoever.
All right, but
So
quick question,
okay, so
right? Just
when
for the sake of the viewers, the sensors you talking about are these like nerve endings?
yes, sir.
All right, okay. Go ahead. That was all. I just wanted to get that clear for the viewers. Go ahead.
Sure. Okay, so therefore, whenever we practice skin brushing, especially first thing in the morning, you actually like we get the overall body stimulated, including the liver. So therefore, the skin is the greatest organ of elimination. So when we process that in the morning, no soap, no oil, just the brush. Okay, and the overall body, it also helps the liver. It's not only the liver working, the skin also is eliminating. So it makes it a whole lot better also for regeneration of the skin.
Okay. Well, there's another thing too that I didn't mention, but beside the skin brushing and the using of the lemon water, they also recommend that you exercise vigorously right after you drink the lemon water. You had to do some vigorous exercise in order to be able to kind of like get the liver to be stimulated. And I don't know if it's to actually cause the lemon water to circulate throughout your system in a rapid way or whatever. I am not certain. But I'm just saying, I know that they have been doing this for centuries because as long as you look at the Chinese system to which the Dio belong, you would know that they have been practicing their tradition in terms of alternative health or natural health for a very long time, for as long as 5,000 years. So things like skin brushing is really not a new thing. Actually, it's ancient. It's something that they've been doing for a long time. Go ahead, Doc. I see you wanted to say something.
Okay, no, I'm just reflecting on this. Apart from the lemon causes, the body to raise the metabolism, so to warm up, and it
Okay.
purges the liver. It is true that if you practice this exercise, you run or whatsoever, you may skip rope, whatever you choose to do, you could dance. But just what matters is to warm the body. Indeed, your metabolism is raised, so your body is ready to function and to kick in for the day. But it is true that not everybody might be in that state of health when they can actually do that. So,
Okay.
for example, the Indians, whose medicine also go back 5,000 years, use a blend that's called tricatu. And tricatu is a blend of three different type of peppers.
Okay.
And it's one part for everything. And this is used also, you can have that as a tea. It's kind of difficult to have it as a tea because it's burning. It burns the tongue, but you just drink it with honey to blend it. And as long as you drink that, you would start sweating without you don't have to move. The body
Wow.
is
So it
right away.
stimulates, is a very stimulating drink.
Oh yes. So I have done that sometime in my Facebook Live where I would encourage people who need to move or probably will have issues with moving. And I would tell them, you just take a few drops of this in the morning. You have it maybe with some people would have apple cider vinegar, which is also a great detoxer, and or would have it with a little bit of lemon and had some
So,
honey in it. As it burns. As I say, it
so,
really
so,
burns.
so, Doc, are you telling me you demonstrated this for for your clients? You
Yes, I
took it?
am because Yes, I'm
Wow.
taking
Okay.
it. And while we are talking, then I could show them, like I'm sweating already. And it's like you
Okay.
don't have, you're really sweating. As we sing
All right,
Creole
but
good look.
Doc, I wanna give you a little joke here, right? Have you ever
Yeah.
heard of something called a shishiri? Do you
No,
know what is a shishiri? All
no,
right.
I don't.
All right. Do you know what's a coquille broom?
No, neither.
Coquille broom. Okay.
Oh,
Well,
okay, cocoa broom. I call it cocoa broom.
right. What we do is we take the branches from the coconut tree and the
Mm-hmm.
flex that is in the middle of the leaf, we strip the thin part and we just keep the flex and we put them together and we make what is called a coquille broom. Right?
Okay,
The old traditional name was shishiri. So
okay,
the story goes that, you know, whenever people have like bad vibes or bad energy or bad spirits following them and you beat them with this broom, the bad spirit says leave and go. So I don't know if that has something to do with skin brushing, but I do know when you hit a person a few shishiri, you actually will get them to move. So
yeah, I
I just
believe.
wanted to share that with you. So we don't call that skin brushing. There was actually a calypso
Mhm.
by the mighty Shadow about a person who ill-treated his wife, and then he goes to this Obia man to get his wife to come back. He was abusing the poor woman, ill-treating the poor woman, and then after the woman leave and go, he go now by the Obia man to get the woman to come back. So when
Ah,
the Obia man already found out from the neighbors, look, this man that's really abused the woman. He's a wicked man. So the Obia
mhm.
man say, okay, no problem. He coming for Obia, let him come. And when he come, the Obia man take the shishiri and start to give him licks right through. But it's
Goodness.
licks, you know. So I just wanted to share that joke with you. So maybe we had something called skin brushing that was close to that, that probably would get a person to function correctly.
I
And
believe.
they would use the broom if people malfunctioning, and they would beat them with it. And when they are done, now we would say, well, the bad vibes leave them or the bad spirit leave them. But you know what? Maybe the person had some kind of biological malfunction, and the mere fact that they get skin brushing, the organ probably started to work right, and the circulation work right, and the brain started to work right. You never know. But anyway, I just felt to share that though. But let me get back to some serious business now. That was just a little humor on the side. So the viewers wouldn't fall asleep on us. Because I mean,
Oh,
we talking all this scientific stuff. But anyway, so yes, with the skin brushing, they recommend vigorous exercises and the
mhm,
consumption of the lemon juice. Right? In Trinidad, right? There are
mhm.
many herbs that we use to stimulate the liver function. One of the most popular herbs that they use for that is a herb that is called the love vine. Right? This is
Okay.
a herb. It's a vine actually, right? And it grows onto other plants. It has no leaves. It's just like a thin vine that you know um, one of these type of what was the term they use for it in botany? These sort of parasitic sort of plants that live off of other plants. The love vine is one of those.
Okay.
Yeah, and they use it to treat liver problems and liver disorders. Right? I don't know. Um, I mean, there are a couple of other herbs too. And by the way, a lot of the herbs that they use to treat the liver too, the kidney, most of these herbs have a tendency, and the pancreas tend to be of a very bitter nature.
Yes.
Right.
This
I
is why
know that.
lots of
Right.
power.
And I know that you're an Ayurveda expert, and that taste cause the stimulation of certain organs, depending on whether it's sweet, sour, bitter, whatever. So maybe you could enlighten us a little bit about that and how it probably works.
Um, Usually, bitter herbs, bitter food, bitter spice are necessary to actually bring balance and to reduce what's called kapha. The kapha is when we have a lot of the earth energy in our body. So people who seem to be built heavy like me usually tend to have a whole lot more of kappa nutrients in the body, and also this causes the body to not function as well because there's too much mass to take care of and to move about.
All right, yeah.
So
You're making some statements that I feel the viewers might be lost. So let me ask you a couple. Let's go back a few steps, right? Um,
okay.
you mentioned body type. You didn't use
Mhm.
those words, but that is the word that I kind of associate to what you just
Dosha, yes.
described. You mentioned yourself being a particular type, your bones being a particular way or whatever. Could you just clarify or explain to us in the Ayurvedic system how they determine body types in relation to treatment and in relation to what we're discussing?
Okay, in
Tell us with
Ayurveda,
the different body types and how it's treated.
in Ayurveda, patients are treated according to their particular prakriti, and prakriti is the combination of the different body types. So there are three main body types. We call them doshas, and one is named Vata, one is named Pitta, and one is named Kapha. And so all of us technically we are made of those different elements. So air, fire, earth. Okay, but we have it in a different combination. That's why you would find that some people probably will have a dominant fire heater. So then those people tends to not put on any weight. They probably don't get as sick. They have a different type of hair. It's like they certain type of food they tend to probably develop allergies, sorry, to stimulating food because the body is already fueled by the inner fire.
All
Okay,
right,
but
but
those people who
would
do
that
not keep a
mean
lot,
that would it doc let me interrupt you. Would that mean that the fire type has a faster metabolic rate, meaning the
definitely.
rate at which the food is converted to energy in their body?
Definitely, but those elements they are not only used to treat the body physically, it is also used to analyze the state of mind. So
Okay.
according to how much earth you have in your body, how much fire, how much air, certain foods do not will not correspond certain body type combination. So in Ayurveda they function a lot like that, and so in following those ancient texts and tradition, it helps sometime, most time I would say, to bring a balance into people who have some complicated health situation.
All right, but then now you're making me want to ask a
So when I
question.
spoke about, go ahead, brother.
Yeah, you're making me want to ask questions because you mentioned the tridosha. Now, the Dio have a system called the five element system. Now, in terms of the same sweet and sour and salt and bitter and blah 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 blah, they use to me what is similar to the Ayurvedic system, but just that maybe the Ayurvedic system look at three while they look at five. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I have not studied traditional Chinese medicine,
Oh, okay,
but for
okay.
what I can you that is that in Ayurveda now according to the different combination we go from three particular categories, but we can come up to 13 to 15 different possible combination. Everybody is not gonna come with the exact same combination, but the goal every time is to bring a balance. So whenever it is observed that there is a deficient, for example, in one of the elements, then we are going to use foods, herbs, spice to bring it up to balance. Or if one is too much, now we are going to use food to decrease it. But we decrease by increasing another one. So the goal usually is to be tridoshic, but most people are. But the more we work into keeping balance, so it's to have the clock properly organized in the body, then the healthier we are. So I use this a lot into the combination of the supplement that I produce for my customers.
Okay.
And indeed, people who tend to have a lot of liver problem or the most challenges with their liver are people who have a lot of kappa in their combination. So people usually who are heavy, all right? And indeed, those are the people who have a sluggish liver, people who may have a slow metabolism, so a kappa person needs to exercise. But usually a kappa person is somebody sedentary, somebody who does not move much. So therefore, because they do not move much and because the internal fire is not so strong, like a pitta person, for example, then they tend to store up more toxins, the acne.
Wow. Well, um, this discussion has been a little bit enlightening for me. I mean, I'm learning a lot from you, Doc, to be honest. I mean, I've been
Oh,
exposed to some of the
that's
Ayurveda.
true.
No, it's true, it's true. I'm learning a lot from our discussion tonight, right? Because I mean, yes, I've came across the Ayurvedic system. I know the body types, and I think here in the West, they have names like endomorph and mesomorph, and I guess I don't know if that is just the English way describing the different body types versus how they describe them in the language of India, right? But many of those things to me could be comparable to the Dio system. But just that again, whereas they start off with the tridosha, which is three, the Diois they start off with five in the five element system, where they look at the taste, they look at, as you just mentioned, too, there is also a link between persons, not just their physical characteristic and the dominance of a particular element, but many times these things also affect people's behavior, their attitudes, their character because of their biochemical um, makeup and responses to the ingestion of particular foods. Um, Much of these ancient sciences, I don't think modern science has done a just thing by not really looking into them deeply and seeing the real value, the real scientific value of many of those things. And I think the reason for that maybe is because they feel a little intimidated because it's competition actually. And I think the traditional approaches produces lasting results, right? And I ain't
Mhm.
trying to get you or me into trouble because we don't want the medical people to be coming after us. But I'm just saying
Exactly.
that even though some of the modalities that are used by naturopaths tend to be slower, and we discussed this in the last stream, it tends to be
Definitely.
slower. However, it tends to be more
More
thorough.
effective.
Yeah, you had also
Yes.
mentioned the 21 days. Speak about that again. You talk about the period at time. I don't think it was 21, but you call that number of days. And you talk about the organ regenerating.
Yeah, 3 weeks, 21 days, definitely.
Okay.
21 days is 21 to 28 days, let's put it that way, is a cycle. It's actually a lunar cycle.
Okay.
um a proper, like somebody would want to go through, for example, a proper cleanse throughout the 28 days. Let's say that you would take maybe 2 weeks to really take out as much as you can, cleanse a lot, and then you would rebalance your body throughout the next 2 weeks. Somebody will have to go through a deeper healing than just a cleanse. Somebody probably who's experiencing a chronic failure of whatever condition need to actually not just cleanse, but really allow the body to regenerate and get accustomed to the new cycle. So that's why for those type of ailment now we target 3 months because we do it the first time, but the body is not accustomed. The body is going to go back to the way it used to function. That's why
Wow.
we need certain detoxes like regularly. All right.
And
The second month, when you keep up to it, is like you're forcing the body into a new normal. But by the third month, it's something that the body has already done twice. It becomes a new habit and it becomes the new normal. So, for example, sometimes people will tell you, yeah, but I want to, let's speak about hair, so we don't speak about weight. I want to grow my hair, and they want a peel or something to drink or oil to rub in the hair, and they expect that hair to just grow like that in weeks. You have to allow the body to get accustomed to the new normal. So therefore, you have to give it 3 months. Okay. And the 21 days now, that's actually like a cycle of cleanings. That's just like the menstrual cycle of a woman.
mhm.
Takes 21 to 28 days for the woman to enter the bleeding phase of the menstrual cycle, and that phase is a cleansing phase. So actually it shows in the woman body because we go through that cycle, but all we are all built the same according to the lunar cycle. And our elders, our ancestors, they would know when it's time to do certain ritual for the body by looking at the moon, and according to the position they would know, okay, it is time to do such and such. So for some reason, I'm just gonna say it, but for some reason Western medicine do not look at those things much. And if they were to validate everything that was done ancient time, then we would have to question a lot of the happening in history,
Okay.
because
I got you.
those
Got you.
before they had a functioning, and now we are really, we have to come to the realization that they were not savages. They had a lot of knowledge,
No,
and
well,
especially a lot of science
yeah,
that we are now using.
I would,
Go ahead.
I am in total agreement with all that you've said, and I can remember my grandfather was a carpenter, which I think I mentioned that in the last, in one of my streams. But long time, right? When he used to do carpentry, what used to happen is the carpenters used to have to go to the forest to cut their trees, right?
Oh, wow.
So my grandfather would look out at the moon to know when it's best to go in the forest and actually cut the trees to take them to the sawmill. Because once
Oh,
they
wow.
cut it in the moon phases, you find woodlice wouldn't eat the wood. The wood tend to last an entire lifetime without decaying or anything like that, based on their understanding of the moon cycles. So back then, I think people were by far more knowledgeable, and they understood the importance of doing things in coordination with the phases of the moon. So I think the times we live in now, where you could just go in the hardware and buy wood, we are actually missing out on a great part of traditional knowledge, right?
Very true.
And not only would it have applied maybe like to just my grandfather's profession, but it applied even if you used to make homemade wine and all these different things. All of these practices were done according to the moon. Planting, doing agriculture, all of these things. The people of olden times had a clear understanding. Okay, yeah, I'm not rushing you, but we have roughly 2 more minutes. Well, it looked like 1 more minute to actually
Oh,
wrap up
was
today's show.
therapy. Okay. There's one more thing I would like, another tip that I would like to share, and
Okay.
this one is available in everybody's backyard in the Caribbean, and this is what the Western people call philanthus. And philanthus is actually the grain and buffet. So whether in Ayurveda or now it's the big great things almost everywhere in the United States, it is promoted as the best liver cleanse. But really and truly, if you just add like a few strings of grana buffer in your tea in the morning, if you could chop it and put it in your salad, put it in your gravies, you will experience, a greater wellness of your liver.
Okay. Gwen Ambuffet, we happen to use the
Yes,
same French name too. We also have a
yes,
common name in Trinidad. It's called seed underleaf.
yes, that is it in English, yes.
Right? Seed underleaf. Or stonebreaker. That's
Ah,
another common name for it.
okay, that's new to me.
All right. So yeah,
Okay.
we would like to let everyone know that our stream can be viewed on several platforms, right? The platforms will include various Ifa Orisha groups, beginning with the Ifa Orisha Tradition Discussion Group of Trinidad and Tobago, Ifa Bemero, home of Ifa Orisha Tradition, the Ifa Orisha Institute of Sacred and Divine Sciences, the Grassroots Education and Entertainment Network. Um, Ia, tell us the name of your platform, the Ifa Orisha Community Congress, the Irie Island Research Group, etc., etc. Ia, tell us what platforms they're available. The video would be able to be seen on.
It will be available on Sankofa Holistic Alternative on Facebook, as well as Bell Sankofa Herbals on Facebook. Those two pages are attached to an Instagram account that's also Bell Sankofa Herbals, and those are the free platform it will be shared on.
All right. So with that, we would encourage you to view, like, and share the stream to all your friends everywhere. And with that, we would like to say Odabo and see
Odabo.
you next time.
See you. À bientôt.